Alex McGrath, who again joins us each and every single Tuesday, but he joins us here on this Victory Tuesday. Alex, I'm going to go ahead. We're going to start things on a little bit of a different note. I'm just going to give you the floor, whatever you want to say. I was just talking that Alex lives up here with me in the upstate, and you've been up here in the upstate for much longer than I. So you have dealt with the trash talk, the nauseating orange and purple for years and years and years. So I'm going to give you the floor and just let you go ahead and get out and say whatever you'd like to say to the masses here on this Victory Tuesday.
Chris, it's just a great day to be a Gamecock. I don't know what else to tell you. It's just like the sun is brighter, the air is fresher. You've got the bragging rights are back for 362 more days, and it feels. God, that was the cherry on top of a very wonderful Thanksgiving weekend, and man, what a game!
Alex, didn't it have shades of 06, my guy? Didn't it?
It really did. It really did.
It felt like 06 all over again in a couple of different ways. It really did.
You got the noon kick. You got it coming down to a field goal. You got us down 2 scores. Like all of it very shades of 06.
Spencer Rattler doing his best Blake Mitchell impersonation in the passing a little bit.
It was key. There's a lot of good things that happened.
Yeah, and we'll start there, Alex. Let's start, of course, with the offensive side of the ball. And I guess the question we all had going into the game, this past weekend was, and I guess everybody had, was Tennessee a fluke, right? Is the offense going to be able to follow up that great performance? And is Spencer Rattler, most importantly, going to be able to follow it up? We knew that the Clemson defensive front was a different challenge, right? I mean, their defensive line and linebackers, some of the best in college football, but you felt like you could win in the passing game. And it's funny, it got off to a slow start, right? I'll be honest, that pick six when Rattler threw it, that gave me shades of 2017 to Jake Bentley, and I was like, oh my God, is this going to be like another just long, nauseating day? And like you mentioned, you fall down 14-0. You had that red zone INT, but Spencer Rattler, the whole drop your nuts mentality of this football team and the edge this football team played with over the last 2 weeks and the resiliency, I thought that really showed in Rattler's game. And again, Alex, I know you and I have talked a lot. Isn't it just crazy what the offense and what he looks like as a player when you take the handcuffs off and you just sort of let him go ball out? Just talk about what you saw from Seven and just the overall offensive game plan on Saturday.
I mean, it's been refreshing to watch for 2 weeks, just to watch somebody who has that kind of talent be able to, play freely within a system where you're not kind of pigeonholed, like you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. It's just like you send him out there and like, go make a play without, check with me at the line or, whatever audibles you're trying to call in there. Like he knows what to do. He's a talented kid. He's got a great arm. Let him go out there and show you what he can do. And that's exactly what he's done for 2 straight weeks. And admittedly, I thought that's what we were going to be looking at for 12 games. And unfortunately it wasn't. But, turn the corner at the right time.
Alex, your prediction in the preseason may not have been that crazy if that offense had shown up all season. That's the thing. I mean, you probably beat Arkansas. You definitely beat Missouri, and you might have a different result against Florida. So, I mean,
that's what I mean. It's just like, listen, admittedly, I didn't think Georgia was going to be this good again. I thought that was kind of going to be a regression year for them, just losing all those guys on defense. However, this is kind of what I thought our offense was going to look like the whole year. And I think in that instance, you certainly don't have, 3 of our losses this year to 6-6 teams. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like that could have worked better than it turned out working.
Yeah. You know what I thought was so crazy, Alex, though, is like you think about Clemson's defense. I mean, they're elite. I understand the competition they play, but like you look at the recruiting rankings and like the guys that are NFL prospects, like there's nobody will debate you and say that their D-line and linebackers are not elite. What's so crazy to me is that they knew we couldn't run it. Like we could not run it. We could not get a push like that. We ran for like 54 yards, and Spencer Rattler was still able to carve them up. And then Nate Atkins does his best Patrick DeMarco impression.
That was wild.
Who was that person?
Like we don't throw him a ball all year, like, and then he's just making one-handed over-the-shoulder catches, like diving. I was like, okay,
that might have been the catch of the season, like literally.
Yeah. You do you.
Yeah, So, I mean, it's just crazy to me that, like, they knew we couldn't run it, and South Carolina was still able to just – and I thought what they did a good job of, too. Speaking of the run game, though, is not necessarily running the ball, but using – we've complained about the swing. I know I have. The swing passes and the screens, and I nicknamed them swing pass sat before. But there's nothing – I don't hate the plays when they work, and I thought what really worked out well on Saturday, I thought we did a good job of using those screens as sort of like extended handoffs. Like, we couldn't run the ball, but those plays were sort of an extended handoff, if you will. When you're just able to pick up 5-6 yards easy, it's just keeps your offense in those second and manageables, those third and manageables, and that's when you really strike. So I thought they did a good job of that. I mean, overall, and we won't get into the debate of, well, who was the mastermind behind it, but the offensive game plan as a whole, just I thought was fantastic and just completely different from what we saw from the first 10 games.
Yes. I'm not going to speculate any further than that because the situation has resolved itself, so it doesn't matter anymore anyway.
Yes, and we're gonna get there, Alex, in just a second. Defensively,
but like if I may speculate on it for just a second, because I can't let that go.
Yeah,
like it's 2 straight weeks where there's no check with me. There's no like screen pass being the focal point of our passing attack, and like that just I don't know. That's just a big change, and I don't know where that change came from, but it's just a big change. And we basically abandoned the run for 2 straight games, and look where it got us.
Again, speculate away, my guy.
I'm not. I'm just pointing out a couple of things that were weird.
Yeah, different for sure.
Different's better.
Defensively, Alex, that side of the ball, what I loved is that, and I've loved seeing the last 2 weeks is that, and this entire football team adopted it, but certainly defensively, playing with an attacking sort of like relentless attitude, if you will, taking chances. I thought South Carolina brought pressure a lot because I'm sure, again, they knew, and it proved itself to be true that, and what I said all summer, I just felt like DJU, and he had been, he'd been on and off this year, but most of the time he's off. He's just not that good. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, lacks confidence, and he did not look confident against South Carolina's defense. And, I thought they did a great job of getting after him. Why did Clem Sucks not run the ball more? I don't know, nor do I care. Again, a lot like 06. A lot like 06. Just give it to Reggie Merriweather, right?
or CJ Spiller. Yeah, like either one of them.
Just give it to one of them. But either way, they didn't. And, South Carolina, I mean, you can't say enough good things about their defensive effort in the second half. I think you gave up like 89 yards in the second half. I think it was 5 of their 6 offensive drives or 6 of 7 or whatever went for like 25 yards or less. Heck, DJ had 99 yards passing, and 49 of it came on one play. And what was so interesting, Alex? The game was very similar to last year. But Carolina had an offense to go with their defense this year. That was the biggest difference. You know what I mean? But I just thought overall defensively, I thought what they did in the second half and that fourth quarter, man. And I know sphincters were tight, but and that may have attributed to some cautious play calling on both sides. But I don't think you can say enough good things about that defense and what they did.
No, they did an outstanding job. I mean, like them abandoning the run in the second half was a curious tactic, I thought, but I mean, they didn't score a point in the fourth quarter, and like that's when you needed them to step up, and they did.
I wonder, Alex, if it's almost like an ego thing. Like they're seeing Spencer Rattler go down the field and win in the passing game, and I just wonder if they're like, well, we're going to do that too. Like, it's like,
no,
you don't know, you don't think so?
I don't think so. I just don't. I don't. I honestly don't know. I mean, we can go down this rabbit hole too, but like how we have been complaining for 10, well, really more than that, 10 weeks about like kind of offensive strategy, offensive play calling. That offense really kind of fell off a cliff once Jeff Scott left, and then now Tony Elliott's gone, and you get DJ looks like a superhero playing Notre Dame 2 years ago with both of them on the sideline, and now he doesn't. And it's like that he's a talented player. It's just, are you getting the most out of him? And it's no different than what we've watched for 10 weeks this year. It's like Antoine Wells is a stud. Spencer Rattler's a stud. Josh Van's a stud. Jaheim Bell's a stud. But you're not getting the most out of your players until something shifted. And like, there's a part of me that wonders how much of that is playing into the struggles that we're seeing out of him. Because, like, you can't tell me that, like, the freshman we saw play against Notre Dame in 2020 just all of a sudden forgot how to play football. And that's just my 2 cents on it.
I mean, yeah, there were people I'll never forget when he was getting recruited. They said he was going to be better than Trevor Lawrence. I mean,
that's a bold take, but it's
right.
number 1 overall draft pick. That's tough to come by. But the other thing of that too is they happen to have 2 of those in a row, and that just doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's funny, Alex. I was just sitting here thinking I was wasting my time with the Fire Sat stuff. I should have been making Fire Streeter merch this whole time. I mean, I'd be probably retired by now.
Oh, undoubtedly. I mean, and again, like, we don't have to go down this rabbit hole, but like, you have that. It's just so weird to like watch that happen, and then you promote from within. Yeah. Like, you have these 2, like, I don't, neither here nor there, but whatever.
Yeah. Beamer ball, my goodness,
to the moon
again. To the moon. Yeah, special teams. Just, I mean. We're at the point now where you really do, and I think people are already doing this, but now the nation knows, like, when you look at South Carolina football, you have to weigh the special teams facet of the game as heavily as you do the offense and defense. Because I mean, look at the game Saturday. Kai Kroger, which we don't have to get into this. I mean, if you want to say
the Ray Guy thing,
if you want to say to hell with Ray Guy, I will understand it. Ray Guy's not my guy. That's all I know. I'm not a fan of Ray Guy today. I don't know.
Well, I don't think Ray Guy had anything to do with the voting, but please go ahead.
Yeah, Ray Guy's like, I didn't do anything. Like, no. So I mean, anyways, though, you look at Kai Kroger. I mean, dude, it was just golf guy, right? I mean, dude was out there hitting 60 degrees to the 1 yard line. It was crazy. It was crazy.
I don't know how you put backspin on a football like that, but it's pretty cool.
And I mean, I was thinking, man, I mean, again, you were a specialist. You play with some good punters and kickers, and my God, Kai Kroger is he's up there. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like he's up there. So,
well, I mean, one of those guys is still kicking.
Indeed, yes, indeed, the man who made the kick in 06. And how about, by the way, shout out Mitch Jeter. I know Kai Kroger's getting love, but Mitch Jeter went 10 for 10 this year on field goals, which is interesting, by the way, Alex, because it feels like 10 field goals to kick in a season. That feels like a low number. It doesn't like that.
I'm here for it.
I mean, it's funny. Like, you want to have a good punter, but ideally he would never touch the field. I mean, that's no disrespect to him. I'm sure he would agree with that. He's like, I hope I never kick a ball all season. But yeah, I mean, Mitch Jeter goes perfect. Hits that one, and again, it wasn't like the one suck-up hit in 06, which was a bomb. But there's a lot of pressure on that kick. I mean, you're down. I mean, it's that was special teams is a huge part. You have I thought it was just like so ironic and perfect that, again, Carolina comes in this game with Beamer ball to the moon, special teams, and it was almost like Clem Sucks let that get in their head, and they're like, well, we got to try to one-up Carolina, and let's do this trick play, and just the perfect poetic justice that was the fumble on that play. Like, it just was perfect. It was perfect, and then I won't dive into the story with the kid. Obviously, I think you know who I'm talking about, Zero. On Clemson's roster, but him fumbling, again, just poetic justice. It really was. And it was the pendulum, it felt like, kind of finally swung back the other way. You know what I mean? In a lot of instances. So, but Beamer ball to the freaking moon, man, for sure.
To the moon.
To the freaking moon. Alex, I'll just ask you again. I know you were watching the game, just immediate thoughts, reactions, seeing that. I mean, I was literally, we were going crazy at Ale House, but I was literally tearing up at the end of the game. I talked to a lot of buddies that had went to the game, so people were crying in the stands, and it might to an outsider seem like a lot, but when you think about the importance of this game, how just long and frustrating it's been, how frustrating of 8-9 years, whatever it had been since Carolina had won, and also I think what's important to note is to go 8-4 and to find a way to go 8-4 and the trajectory of the program. And Beamer mentioned it in post game about, after the game against Florida, that he told the team, you can change the trajectory over these next 2 weeks. And Just your immediate reactions and thoughts here on this Tuesday as well in regards to the win, what it means for Carolina in the short term and the long term.
Like the emotional roller coaster of it. I think, you lose to your rival, that's going to happen. So be it. Like we will be talking on this podcast at some point in the future, bemoaning what happened in this game. I think where it got like a real like dirt in the eye, we're going to rub your head in the ground, was the trajectory of their program and the trajectory of our program. We're going in such completely opposite directions where, for big stretches of that 7-game losing streak, you walked into that game knowing you had no chance. And, to put, the icing on that terrible cake, they're going to play for the national championship. And it's just like, we couldn't have been in more opposite quadrants. And to have that kind of circle back towards the middle and us come out on top, I think is where the majority of that emotion's coming from. And it was just special to watch. It just felt like finally, we've kind of climbed back up from this well we fell down into 7 years ago. We'll call it the Muschamp well.
I was literally about to say credit to William Lawrence Muschamp. Hey, Beamer's already done something Muschamp could never do. Win the rivalry. I mean, and I'm just, just saying. I mean, I promise I'm not a begrudged ex over here. I've let the past go, but I just wanted to point out a fact. Alex.
I have grudges. I have many grudges with that period, but that will go on.
Yeah, just fair enough. And I don't think I'd have as much a grudge if he wasn't also winning rings now. That's just tough. That's tough to stomach. That doesn't seem fair. That does not seem fair.
And the university wasn't writing him checks every month.
Right. I'm sure they grit their teeth a little bit when they cut that one every month. That's for sure.
I guarantee you it was a little easier the last two.
Right. Yeah. For sure. Alex, again, it's funny. We sit here now, regular season over, 8-4, which I said all summer I'd sign up for 8-4 in a heartbeat. And, so I'm ecstatic, over the moon. I mean, it's how it happened which this season's a perfect microcosm of, and I'm always going to give predictions. Predictions are what make college football so fun, right? Like we sit all summer and speculate, and we kind of it's almost like we actively daydream. That's what we do. We actively daydream about what the possibilities, but a season like this just goes to show you that nobody can predict college football. It's impossible. I mean, you can't predict what you're going to, especially when it comes to Gamecock football week in, week out. But Alex, to the point, it's funny how things work themselves out, isn't it? Because now we sit here on this Tuesday, South Carolina is actively looking for a new OC because Marcus Satterfield has accepted the job at Nebraska to go work for his buddy Matt Rule. And, I said it just before you came on. I got to imagine Shane Beamer is sitting there today almost letting out a sigh of relief and thinking like this could not have played out any better. And I know there's a very small percent that are like, well, maybe we should have kept Sat on. I think I'd venture to say 98 or 99% of Gamecock Nation is like, this is just we couldn't have dreamed up a better scenario than what we're seeing right now. Your overall thoughts on Satterfield's departure? Are there any names early on, leaders in the clubhouse for you that you'd like to see? And I think the question more so importantly I have for you is schematically and philosophically what you'd like to see from the next offensive coordinator.
I don't honestly even know if there's anything schematic I want to see from it. I think I just want to see somebody that plays to your strength. Like that you don't have like this idea in your head that like this is what we're going to do no matter what. Like play to your strengths, play away from your weaknesses, or try to hide your weaknesses in a creative way. Like just do like you look at our team for the majority of this year, and again, it's just like you're trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. Like, do what you're good at. Like, if you come into a year, like the perfect example of that is like, we get Spurriers coming in here, and you think you're going to have this like unbelievable throw it all over the field fun and gun. Like, when in reality, the only year we really did that was Dylan Thompson. Like every other year, he had to kind of shift his scheme a little bit to fit the players that we had on the field. That's what I want to see. Somebody who can mold or not mold, but just kind of change course with what they expected to do and do what's best with the guys that you have. That's what I want to see. That being said, I'd love to see like Kendall Briles, Garrett Riley. Like honestly, I wouldn't be mad if it was Freddie Kitchens.
Yeah, I think Riley's probably the guy that is on the wish list that if Carolina could throw the bag and get him, I think that would be I would think it's safe to say you'd label that as a home run hire. I really do.
Yeah.
Especially you look at like what TCU's doing. I mean, and his background and yeah, I think that would be, in my opinion, the home run. But I guess I'd venture to say you're not too upset that that Satterfield has taken the job in Lincoln. I don't think you're one of those people I mentioned that are sad about it. Put it that way.
Shout out Matt Rule.
The real MVP. The real MVP. Making things happen. Love that.
No, I don't know. Like Brian Johnson, who like we interviewed, I believe, for the head coaching job back in 2020. Like I think he'd be an outstanding hire. He's up at the Eagles now.
Well, I know Brennan Marion's another one at Texas, the wide receiver coach people are talking about. The OC at Texas Tech is another one. My good friend
I don't think that one's like, because I read something about him that said like Tech was his alma mater, so I think that's going to be tough to drag him away from.
Yeah.
The guy at Wake Forest would be
Longo.
good.
Yeah,
I don't want any part of Phil Longo.
You don't want any part of Phil Longo. Okay.
I don't.
Well, I'm just giving you the names on this list. So, Kevin Barbay at App State. I don't know much about him, but Brian Johnson's the one you're talking about, the Philadelphia Eagles quarterback coach.
Yeah. Because he was the OC of Florida when Kyle Trask was throwing it all over the field.
Yeah.
He was OC at Utah for a while too, where they had really good offenses.
Briles does seem very, I don't know if likely. I don't want to say likely because I don't want people to think I've got some scoop that it's going to happen. But like that one makes a lot of sense because Justin Stepp is on staff and they've got a great relationship. And you know what I mean? Like I'm sure Stepp could lure him. But it's interesting, Alex. I was talking to a buddy about this morning. That isn't it funny? Like I feel like 95% of fan bases don't love their OC. Like even Kendall Briles, like Arkansas fans are ready for him to get out. And it's like it's just one man's trash is another man's treasure type deal when it comes to. I mean, there's just very few fan bases that you go and look and there's just like 100% approval rating with the OC. But like you mentioned, playing to the strengths, I want to see a spread, up tempo, modern. I mean, I think if nothing else, we can all agree that the NFL pro style thing just throw that in the garbage.
Well, I mean, but that was the same reason I didn't want what's his face that came in with Muschamp.
Roper?
No, the last one.
Bobo.
Yeah, it was the same reason I didn't want that. It was just like if you have the Jimmies and Joes to run that, like good for you. Yeah. We just don't.
Very few do. But very few do. And I think too, Alex, like you look at and it's a bit infuriating when you look at the last two games and think about what could have been. But I think the greater lesson in this is that, yes, defense played with their hair on fire. Special teams, beamer ball to the moon was incredible. But you won the last two games because of the offense. Like, you need an explosive offense to go beat teams like that. And so it's like the formula's there. You can't run some slow, boring, monotonous. Like, you need to score, 35 plus per game realistically to have a good shot to get, I think, where you want to go. So, proof's in the pudding. Proof's literally in the pudding. You don't beat Clemson if the offense would have stunk. Like, just
no.
Bottom line. So, yeah. So, anyways, we're now into bowl projection season. Of course, tonight we will get college football playoff rankings. Sunday we'll find out where Carolina is bowling. Do you have any preferences? We've heard Tampa. We've heard Jacksonville, of course. I mean, the fact I think we're going to a Florida bowl game is ideal. But I mean, do you have a preference at all? I will say, I think if we got the ReliaQuest, which formerly known as the Outback Bowl, if we got the Tampa Bowl game, could be some legendary content with old Steven Garcia down there. I got to say. I
can't imagine what you're referring to, but yeah, I would imagine you'd probably get some good stuff.
Roach infestation for sure. From
the just to play in a New Year's Day bowl again, I think is
Yeah, I mean, I think we're either going to play December 30th or January 3rd. So, yeah, I mean, the fact we're playing that around that time of year in Florida, weather should be good, I think is, and I've seen some projections, but dude, if you could play like a Notre Dame, that'd be incredible. I'd love to
Oh
see a
yeah.
game like that. I mean, whatever. I know that the bowl game for some might be a little bit of a side note, like you're playing with house money, obviously, but we saw last year, man, of the impact of a bowl game and winning a bowl game and the positives that can come from it, especially the way you ended this regular season, man. I mean, if you thought the hype was big coming into this season, it could be even more, next preseason. So, Alex McGrath joins us every Tuesday. Alex, I appreciate you taking the time, man. Any last words, any parting words? Of course, I've had my fun, or I'm still having my fun, but my head was spinning for about 72 hours of just nonstop tomfoolery, if you will. But
well, that's fair. I mean,
let me. How's it been for you navigating in the upstate this week? And like you said, I guess Thanksgiving weekend was much sweeter, but I'm sure the Clemsucks folks you come in contact with have been a little more hesitant to talk ball this week than they probably normally would be.
honestly, everybody's been pretty nice about it. It's like no one's coming in with sour grapes or like crowing. I mean, it's been, congratulations. Like, I don't know what's going on with our program follow-ups. So, it hasn't been bad. There's no car flags. There's no purple shirts. There's no orange shirts. It's just it's delightful.
To your point too, though, like if you're Joe at the water cooler and like being an ass to your coworkers, like you're kind of, it says a lot about you, I think. Anyways,
I would agree with that.
Whatever. Yeah, I don't know that in your practice, like it's like, all right, get your head out of your ass. We got a job to do. You know what I mean? Like
More of that.
Leave that at home, my guy. Leave that at home. But either way, it feels good. I know it's sweet, man. I know that it's crazy. I was telling Steven this yesterday, but I had guys like Nathan Pepper and Brian Maddox and other old former players reaching out to me over the weekend and just seeing Gamecock Nation jubilant and celebrating. And it was just incredible. Much needed too. Absolutely much needed. I think a lot of the celebration was also a sigh of relief that like we finally got this off our back and because it felt like for a little bit you're like, I don't know if we can ever beat these guys, and sure enough, Beamer turns it around, and now we sit here and we'll wait on the bowl destination. So, Alex, that being said, man, I appreciate you. Like I said, we'll be in touch in regards to future plans. We're obviously going to have you on here for the bowl game and then after the bowl game, but I'll kind of let you know the game plan moving forward. But always appreciate your time, man. It was a fun regular season for sure, and looking forward to chatting about the bowl game here soon.
Next year I'll try to keep my predictions a little less.
I mean, my guy, if you keep predicting an SEC championship, maybe some point you'll be right. Maybe.
Well, now hold on. I didn't say championship. I just thought we'd win the East.
Well, at some point you might be right. So, I mean, apparently, Alex, I picked 6-6, 3-5 last year. We went 6-6, 3-5. I picked 8-4, 4-4 this year. We went 8-4, 4-4. So next year I just have to pick 12-0. I mean, that's just bottom line because apparently I'm speaking things into existence without realizing.
So, listen, man, you get Rattler back. You get Juice Wells back. You get
the
Jaheim
SEC
back.
East on high alert. Put them on high alert.
I mean, nope, I'm not going to talk myself into it again. Nope, I'm not doing it.
I love it.
I'm not doing it.
I love it. Alex, appreciate you, man. We'll
Absolutely,
talk soon.
buddy. All right, see you, man.
Yeah, man. Take care.